Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Becoming a Cop. We are affiliated with, who are we affiliated with, Donovan?
Who are we affiliated with?
Policebackground.net,
Yeah.
the Police Applicant Podcast. And also, check this out, man. Check this out, Donovan. I'm going to show you something right now.
All right. I'm waiting.
Right there. You can get a hold of us at policebackground.net and prepforduty.com. And with me tonight is not just Donovan. I don't know where Rob is. He's supposed to be here. Rob is not here just yet. But Prep for Duty, you can get a hold of Donovan there for oral interview prep and books and all kinds of stuff like that. And you've got a lot of things in the works. I'm excited for the stuff that you got coming up. And I can be reached at policebackground.net. And Donovan, we have a really, really good topic. And I think that Kelly Squid, welcome Kelly Squid. Kelly Squid has it correct. This is a spicy subject.
Yeah, so let's just go up front right now. We have prepared questions for me. However, if there are any questions that come in, I reserve the right not to answer them. Ken knows I've gotten in trouble in the past with some of the polygraph organizations. So not that I care, but there are just some things that I won't answer. So
I will answer them. I will answer them based. The thing about the poly is to some people, the poly and polygraph examiners are the spawn of Satan. Some people, background investigators, I'm just saying some people say that. And some background investigators either love or hate the poly. It depends on what the outcome is. Everybody has an opinion. I have an opinion. Donovan and I don't always agree on our opinions on the poly, but that's okay because I'm strictly coming from a background investigator's perspective, and Donovan is coming from a background investigator and a polygraph examiner. So Donovan's going to head this tonight, but I just want to say I fully expect this to be a spicy episode, and let's get started. Donovan, you're in the hot seat.
I'm in the hot seat. All right, well, let's just jump right into it. I mean, people are always wondering what's the purpose of the polygraph in the police hiring process, and how do agencies use the result? I can't speak for every agency because every agency has their own reasoning for the polygraph. In general, the polygraph is a truth verification tool. It is not a lie detector. It just helps us determine whether someone is being truthful or not, if they're trying to deceive us, trying to hold information back. Is it a tool that should be used as a sole disqualifier? I will tell you 100% absolutely not. What?
Why? Yeah, going back to the original thing that you said, it's not a lie detector. Why is it called the lie detector?
You're not going to be able to tell if someone's truly lying. I mean, lying is such a black and white thing where deception is a gray area where when I explain it to people when they come in for the polygraph, if you think about it, people come in and say, I've never lied in my life. And I'm like, come on. You've never told your parents you were going to be at one place and you really went somewhere else. Everyone's lied, right? But we look at what the level is. I mean, some people are just being a little deceitful. if you go percentage wise, 100% always truthful. Otherwise, you can always go that 97, 98. When I talk about that, it's Ken, your wife just went out shopping. She bought a brand new outfit. She walks out to show it to you, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, are you seriously going to walk out in public with that? But then Ken's thinking to himself, do I want the argument? Do I want to hurt her feelings? No, I don't want to do either of that. So you're just like, oh, you look great. That's not being 100% truthful, right? But it's also not like a drastic lie. It's that, you want to just kind of, hold a little bit of your truthfulness back. And that's what we're really looking for, is someone who's holding that little bit of truthfulness back. They're trying to hide something from us. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we got one of the comments here. I don't know if you can answer this or not. Spanish Dad says he confirmed it's not accurate.
No, I mean, again, 100%. I mean, if you look at the stats and everything, I mean, studies are done on polygraph, and studies are done on polygraph from not only polygraph examiners, but people outside the polygraph world. Unlike other truth verification systems like, I don't know, CVSA, where they do all their own studies and no one else has done a study on them. When we talk about pre-employment, the accuracy on those tests are the high 80s to low 90s. It's the best we can do, right? Because we're dealing with the human body. We're dealing with a lot of things coming into play here. No polygraph examiner should ever say that the polygraph is 100% accurate, because it's not. That's why I fall back on, it's a tool in the background process. So basically, for the background investigator, it's a tool in their tool belt. It's something that they use to figure out where their investigation is going to go. Is that kind of do you understand where we're coming from on that? I hate the pass fail. I'm more of someone, and there's some talk that maybe we're going to go to the psych world. When you get your psych exam done, when they do a psych, it's low, medium, or high risk. And in the polygraph world, it could be that simple as well. Low, medium, or high risk, rather than a pass fail. So I think too many agencies get caught up on this being a pass fail. And if they fail the polygraph, they're just out of the process. That's not what polygraph is for. It's just a tool. If someone fails a polygraph, do we need to look at why they failed it? Yeah, absolutely. There needs to be more questions, more investigation done.
So I'm going to kind of interrupt some of the questions, some of the things that you have. So when they're talking about accuracy in the polygraph, how much is there a percentage that is the machine and the percentage that is the polygraph examiner?
As far as making a decision?
Yeah. I mean, as far as the results go.
The results, we base our results on what the machine tells us. So when the polygraph is done, there's a chart done on the examinee, the applicant, and then we score that chart. Okay. And that's what we go based off of. We don't use our own personal influence. It's really important for polygraph examiners to walk in with no preconceived notions. We don't want to make any judgments on the person throughout the whole thing. We want to just make sure that we keep it nice and general with them, so that we can just let the machine tell us what's going on.
Okay. We have a question that's, I don't know if it's related to this or not, but Talesi, I hope I get that correct. What's the difference between a non-select and a DQ, Donovan?
Well, non-select is you have a background investigator and their hiring authority review a packet, and it's just they don't meet the qualifications. They maybe there's better candidates than them. It's not a disqualification. It's not that negative mark. It's just the department saying, hey, either you're not right for our department, or you're a fit. However, there are other candidates who are a better fit that we're going to move forward on. Disqualification is we have found something that we can't hire you, and we need to disqualify you. And that's more of a negative mark on your record then.
Yeah. And also a non-select can happen because of what Donovan says. We're going to move on with somebody else who has more qualified over there. And the other thing is you can be non-selected off the PHS the initial PHS without any investigation going. They look at your PHS and they go, you know what? We don't like some of the stuff that's on here. We're going to non-select. And the thing about non-selects also, you can't appeal them. There's no appeal for a non-select.
Right.
Kelly Squid says, Orange County Sheriff's Department polygraph examiner treat it as the word of God. And that's a spicy comment.
Yeah, and there are agencies that do treat that as, hey, whatever the result is, that's what we're going with. Again, I can't control that. It comes down to, again, when I talk to background investigators, when I get calls regarding polygraph in the background world, I continue to tell people this is just a tool. Do not treat it as the sole decider in a disqualification. You need something more.
Okay. Yeah. Good stuff, man.
All right. So let's go on to what's next here. So what do you need to understand about the role of the examiner versus the role of hiring agency? So when we talk about the role of the examiner, it depends a little bit on if the polygraph exam is being done in-house first off. If they have their own examiner that they hire, they're working at that agency, the role it can be just a little bit different versus the role of the hiring agency. Where I'm at right now, the agency has hired me on. I am an employee of that agency. So my role, a little bit different. The one thing that should never happen is a polygraph examiner should never be the examiner and then continue on with a background of that same person. There should be a complete split, because in reality, that background investigator, again, really needs to come in with no judgments into that polygraph exam. They need to just interview that person, do the interview, and go through the whole process just with the information that is laid out in front of them during that appointment. Where the hiring agency, their role is basically determining whether they want to use that polygraph exam as part of the cog in the whole system, or if they want to use it as a deciding factor.
I got a good question here. Do they typically ask questions that are red flagged on the PHS?
Again, agencies do it differently. I mean, it's most polygraph examiners and most agencies will have a standard set of questions. They will typically cover sex crimes, employment history, serious crimes. And why am I missing the other one, Ken?
Because I don't know.
It'll come to me.
Serious crimes, drugs, domestic violence, theft from employer.
Domestic violence. That's the other one. They want to hit those big ones to see if drugs. Sorry, drugs. Drugs is thrown in there as well. Some examiners use 4 questions. Some examiners will use 6 questions that they want to look at for the agency. But they really want to focus in on those to just make sure that you're not withholding information, and that's what they're looking for. Any polygraph exam you see in a movie, you see them doing a movie, that's not the way the exam works. There's never any surprises. We don't sit there and turn on the machine, have them with all the components on, and just sit there and think, all right, what are we going to ask them next? Anyone who's gone through a polygraph, they know every test that you do in the polygraph exam, it's always reviewed before you ever start the polygraph exam. So there's no surprise questions during it. You know what the question's going to be. You know how you're going to answer that question. So it's a fair game that's going on there. So, but I mean, if you want to say, are the areas that are red flagged in the PHS, we look at the areas that are of most concern in law enforcement.
Lauren wants to know, is it standard procedure to tell candidates they are using countermeasures just to screw with them?
No, that is not standard procedure. Holy crap. I hate it when I hear that. A candidate should be told that the examiner believes they're using countermeasures when the examiner believes that they're using countermeasures. There should be no making up of any information by the examiner. They shouldn't be saying, hey, you're doing this or you're doing that. They should not be doing that. It should only be, and I mean, that's the only time I ever bring up countermeasures is if I see someone doing it. I'll tell people not to do them. I won't tell them what countermeasures are. However, I'll let them know, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Knock it off.
And the polygraph machine can tell when something's not right.
Yeah, so we can tell by what's going on with the person physically, what's going on. So their physiology is going to tell us if there's some sort of countermeasure going on. And what people, I guess, um, need to understand is when we go to our school, we do exactly what some of these people who try to figure out what countermeasures are. We go out on the internet, we research them, and then we go into the lab and we'll practice them on all the polygraph examiners who are in training with us so that we can see what it's like for someone who's trying to do them, and we can see what it looks like on the chart at the same time so that we have that experience.
Okay. Kelly Squid has a long question.
Oh boy.
Will there be any improvement to this particular part of the application process, or will the bleeding of officers force changes within agencies to change policy regarding the poly? Not quite sure I understand that exactly.
I kind of get where he's coming from. Our agency's going to get away from it. And I guess my hope is, and everyone has their own right to this, my hope is that agencies who use it and states that mandate it don't go away from the truth verification systems. Again, as long as it's used correctly, and I go back to that over and over, that it's just a tool in the whole process. We don't use it as a deciding factor. This profession is built on integrity. We've got to continue to check integrity. There is no way a background examiner can tell me that they will do an entire background and will be able to catch any person withholding information. Not going to happen. People can withhold information. Are we able to catch some of that? Absolutely. I have people fail the polygraph. When they fail, I'll do a follow-up exam, and majority of the time they're like, oh, you know what? Either I forgot to tell you this, or I thought about it and I didn't want to talk about it. Something comes up that says, yep, they were trying to hide something from me. But a good polygraph examiner is always going to have that follow-up and try to figure out what's going on. Not a hard, fast interrogation, spotlight in the person's eye, all that kind of stuff, but just a conversation to figure out what's going on so that we can figure out how to move forward in the process.
What's your style of giving a polygraph examination? Because I've seen polygraphs and I've seen DVDs of LAPD polygraph exam, and you think they were interrogating the guy for murder. What's the deal?
I go based on my training from what the school that I went to. And really, it's rapport building. I got to build a rapport with that person. I got to learn about them. My goal is to make them feel comfortable so that when they go into it, that they get a fair shake at this. I don't want to make them nervous, any more nervous than they are. People coming in are always going to be nervous. My goal is to try to calm their nerves the best they can, and give them the fair shake. I don't want to do any interrogation. It's just a conversation. And a lot of people come in for my polygraphs and they'll say, hey, look, you're a lot better than the last polygraph examiner. I always explain what we're looking for in polygraph, which again, the American Polygraph Association, if you're a member of their organization, you have to explain what we're looking for in polygraph. And some people will say, hey, no one ever explained it to me like that. It makes sense what you're looking for now.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
I never took a poly, but I passed the CVSA with the other agency I applied to first time for my polygraph here soon. CVSA, pros, cons, hate it, love it. What do you think? Okay, we're going to talk about something else.
No. CVSA, I told you they're one that, the studies that have been done on it have all been internal. I don't put a lot of faith in it. I've seen it in action. I've never had to take one. Some people put a lot of faith in it. There's the arguments for it. There's the arguments against it. Agencies can decide if they have that opportunity. Some agencies were in state. If they don't require a polygraph, they can use a CVSA. It's a tool.
Kelly Squid says, thank you, Donovan. I wish more examiners could be transparent like you. The ones that I went through made it look like a torture session. My mileage was varied. I hear that a lot. So many different, it's like kind of like background investigators, polygraph examiners, you get all kinds of flavors.
You do. It's the nature of the beast. Some people come into this and just like people coming into law enforcement. Some have the attitude they're, holier than thou because they have a badge on, all that kind of stuff. Same thing with polygraph examiners. Oh, I went to the polygraph school. I've done this many polygraphs. No one's going to get by me. I don't get it. I don't have that big of an attitude. I got a job to do. And like I tell people, I don't get paid for failing people. I don't get paid for passing people. I just get paid. I don't care what the results are. I just want people to have a fair shake.
Yeah. Well, very good. That's the questions for now.
Okay. Now I got to figure out where we left off. We'll go down here to this one. All right. So what should an applicant do or avoid doing to prepare for the polygraph appointment? All right. There's a lot of things that go into this. First, a good polygraph examiner is going to send you some notification as to what you need to do to prepare for the polygraph exam. As far as sleep, make sure you're getting a good night's sleep the night before. I would highly recommend that you do not work graveyard shift and then come in for a polygraph. Polygraphs are extremely difficult to do if you are sleep deprived. So just get a good night's sleep the night before. It's easy to say. A lot of people are nervous and they just toss and turn all night, but get some sleep the night before. Don't change your eating habits. Eat beforehand. It's not going to affect the results. Eat like you'd normally eat. If it's breakfast, if it's in the morning, have breakfast. If it's lunch, have lunch. It's no big deal. Make sure that you're bringing all the required documents. An examiner is going to bring or send you some documents you may need to fill out, or the background investigator may give you some documents that say you need to bring them along. Some departments will have you fill out what's called a polygraph questionnaire. Fill it out. Be as open and honest as you can, because it's going to be matched up against your background packet. And some agencies just use the personal history statement. So just understand what they're asking you to do, to bring what documents you need to bring in. Always make sure you're bringing your government ID. They always want to make sure who you are. Another thing I would recommend is don't bring any electronics into the room. Yes, Ken.
Do all background investigators use the PHS? Because I've seen the PHS, and then I've seen like a pre-poly questionnaire that's the size of a PHS.
Yep.
What's the deal with that? Why fill that out if you already filled out a PHS?
So it varies from the department to department again. Some agencies will do the polygraph exam right at the very beginning. It's the first step after any sort of written or physical testing. They move into polygraph. So you don't have your personal history statement done. So they'll give you a polygraph questionnaire. If you have a contract polygraph examiner, some agencies won't release that personal history statement to the examiner. And then you're forced to, as an examiner, you need something. So then you're forced to use a polygraph packet. And when I was running my business up in Washington State, that's what I had to do for a lot of them. They wouldn't supply me the personal history statement. So I would have to actually have a polygraph packet that we would go through. Yeah, it's just as intense as the background or as the personal history statement. Just be thorough in that. I always liked when I did it for my own business, I would sit down with the applicant and I would fill it out for him while we're talking. I would ask him the questions. We would go through it. So.
Question for Donovan. What if you're diagnosed with a condition such as anxiety and you're naturally a nervous person? Although I passed LAPD's poly, it made me a non-select for other departments. It sucks.
The anxiety and the nervousness are not going to affect the polygraph. Polygraph examiner, number one, should ask you these questions. But secondly, the nervousness, that's something we don't look for. Nervousness is something that we have some control in our body. We can alleviate some of the nervousness. So that's nothing we're looking for. We're looking for things in the body, the physiology that you cannot control. Basically, your fight or flight system kicking in. That's what we're looking for.
Got another one here. My buddy got DQ'd and banned from a department for biting his nails while doing the polygraph. Your thoughts? I thought he messed up. Nerves, I'm guessing.
I mean, was that biting his nails? Was that during the actual testing process? That would be my question. I mean, I've never heard of anyone being disqualified for biting their nails unless it's during the testing process, because in the middle of the polygraph exam, you have to sit still. And if they're biting their nails, that's going to not allow you to sit still. But that's a weird one. So,
yeah, because don't you have to have your arms complete and you just don't be moving around, right?
Right. Yeah. Because we're watching what's going on with your physiology. You move, it changes it.
Okay. Well, very good.
All right. All of the questions there.
Yeah.
All right. Just a couple things that I'll tell you to avoid doing. All right. I talked about what to do to prepare for. Oh, and if you have medications, take your medications as prescribed. Don't change anything. I've had some people who will take Ritalin or whatever for ADHD. They'll skip that and come in and they can't sit still. So just take your medications the way you normally do. I would say if someone is going in and they're pregnant at the time, reach out to that background investigator, or either the background investigator or the polygraph examiner, and ask what their policy is on doing a polygraph for someone who is pregnant. Agencies vary on that because you're putting some undue stress on the body just by the very nature of a polygraph exam, and you don't want anything to happen because someone's pregnant. So do that. Let's see, where are we at here, Ken?
What does this mean?
What?
Yes, I believe he did, and spit it forward. So his fingernail, he spit it out.
He must have. Yeah, yeah. So I believe what he's saying is that he was chewing it during the actual exam and then spit it forward. So that's moving. You're not going to get a good result whether you disrespected the examiner or not. I don't know that I would like that very much either.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's probably. I think your buddy got himself DQ'd.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. So let's look at this one. What separates a strong applicant from those who struggle during the polygraph process? So when you look at this, people who come in and are very upfront about their history, they just lay it all out on the line. They're like, no big deal. Yep. We talk about everything. We talk about the uncomfortable sex questions, the crime questions, all that, just like a background investigator would. Understand we're doing it again because somewhere down the line, an officer got fired for something that we needed to add that question to our packets, either the PHS or the polygraph. So we're not trying to do it just to get some weird information. We're doing it for a reason. So make sure, okay. Make sure you're just upfront, just like you are with your background investigator. Be very direct in your questions. If you ever have a concern about clarifying a question, always ask your examiner, what are you looking for? Am I missing something in this question? I always tell people, if you are like, I don't know if I should disclose this or not, Ken will probably say this in backgrounds as well. If you have a question whether you should disclose it or not, disclose it. It's probably not a big deal.
Yeah.
The other thing is, don't try to manage your physiology. All right. Don't try to control your body during that. Don't be focused on what your body's doing. Just focus on the questions when you're in the middle of the test. Some people try to, I'm going to relax. I'm going to do deep breathing and all that kind of stuff. An examiner sees that and that throws things off. So don't do that. It's going to cause you problems. For the most part, I say this because this is the way I run my polygraphs. Treat everything in there as a conversation. Now, I get it. Some polygraph examiners don't treat everything as a conversation. It's an interrogation. Try to keep everything as a conversation. If the polygraph examiner goes down the interrogation route, don't be confrontational with them. It's not going to help you at all. Those that struggle, they're not fully transparent. They're not 100% truthful. They try to change their physiology, and they come in with a fear of the test. I'll come to that question in just a second. But they come in with a fear. They think they know what polygraph is. They're scared about it, and they think they know what's going to happen. I had someone come in do that. They expected to have all the components on them. They expected me to have the machine on while we went through the entire polygraph questionnaire, and that I would be assessing them during the entire time. We spent an hour and 45 minutes through the pretest, me getting to know him, going over the consent form, finding a little bit about his personal history, and then getting into the questionnaire. When it came time to test, the testing only took 20 minutes. And when we were done, he's like, that was it? Weren't you going to ask me this question? No, and I could tell that he was just so thrown off. I mean, he came up as a fail. We talked about it. I figured out what was going on. I retested him, and then he passed. But he got in his mind, and you can't do that. Just follow the process. All right. What's the question, Ken?
How long does it take typically if everything goes as planned during a poly?
I can tell you, American Polygraph Association says a polygraph has to last 90 minutes minimum. Because, I mean, in order to do a good one, you got to at least have that much time for the consent, making sure they're suitable, learning about them, going through all the questionnaire, all that kind of stuff, and then doing the testing. Typically for me, takes about 2 hours. If you're a lateral police officer or any sort of corrections in your past, it might go 2.5 hours. But I've heard some agencies go 5 hours. I don't know what they talk about for 5 hours, because after about 2.5 hours, I'm tired of talking to you. You're tired of talking to me. We're ready to be done. If there's no need to be there, I don't want to be there. But I've heard agencies go 5 hours, and I don't know what they do. So
I've heard candidates say from start to finish, they arrive at the place, they leave, and it's like 6 hours.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what they're doing. I try by the time someone gets there, even if they get there early, if I got nothing going on, I try to get them back in the first 5 minutes of them arriving so that I don't keep ramping them up, nervous wise. And then we're usually done in 2 hours, unless something comes up and we need to do a retest or something.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much for the compliment. We get those.
Yeah, thanks.
About 4 times a year, and that's nice. Appreciate that. Well, we do hope these Monday night sessions are helping you guys.
Right.
We're trying to get you all the information. And if you have any topics that you want us to talk about, let us know too, and we'll tackle those.
Right. All right. Let's go to this, Ken. Most common fears and misconceptions applicants have about the test. So coming into a polygraph exam, the biggest one is the nervousness. Oh, I'm not going to do well because I'm nervous. And like I explained, the applicants, we're not looking for nervousness. If you think about how nerves are in our body, they may ramp up a little bit, but they don't like spike in our body. They just kind of, I'm a little nervous. And then they just kind of go along. You coming in, your nervousness looks like I'm on my charts as you're just normal. What I'm looking for are drastic changes in your body. So, nerves are going to be there. Just don't worry about that. The examiner should be explaining to you what we're looking for, and that nerves aren't what we're actually looking for. The other thing is one mistake in your past, and it's going to ruin everything. We all know that people are going to mess up in their past. I'm not expecting perfect candidates to come through at all. I'm expecting truthful and honest candidates to come through, candidates that have integrity and that have learned from their past, right? So for the polygraph exam, we're just looking for if people are trying to withhold information, if they're not being 100% truthful with us. That's what we're looking for. We don't make judgment after that. That's on the background investigator to determine what's going on, if that mistake in the past is something that's going to affect them. I see that question.
I heard about this before.
Some examiners will tell you no. Some examiners will say it doesn't matter. I will say just be cautious with the amount of caffeine you take in. Because when I was in class going through this, of course, I had to test this because I'm a huge energy drink fan. And I drank a energy drink just before going in. And if you think about it, we have a blood pressure cuff on. We're looking at heart rate. That's going to mess with your heart rate. So just be cautious on the caffeine that you're taking in. Don't take in a large abundance. If you need to have that cup of coffee in the morning, have it, but don't overdo it. Don't slam that energy drink right away.
Got a, I didn't read the whole thing, but it sounds controversial.
This is a long one. All right, this many right, bro. There's a certain examiner in this guy.
There's a third party. Okay. Rage bait. What do you think?
If you have an examiner, and I don't know if Kelly Squid was part of this, or if it's third, it's third party, it looks like. So don't know if it's 100% true, but if you have someone who's trying to get you to buy into their antics, just again, stay calm. Don't buy into it. Just try to have that conversation. Don't get your excitement up. It's not worth it. That's what they're looking for you to do, I think.
Very good.
All right. So, what advice can we give someone taking a polygraph for the first time in law enforcement? Going with that mindset that this is going to be some sort of structured interview. Okay. And that's what it is. It's a structured interview. Anyone who's taken a polygraph knows that once it comes to time, the time for the polygraph, it's very structured. We go over all the questions. You go over your answers with us. There's no surprises. The only difference is that you have all these components on your body, all these sensors on your body. A polygraph examiner who does it right, in my opinion, is going to do a practice polygraph exam where your very first polygraph exam with that examiner, you should be told every question and you should be told how you're going to answer that question. So there is no concern about passing or failing. You just get to get one polygraph exam under your belt with no pressure on you whatsoever. So you understand what the process is going to be like. That's the first thing. I mean, just understand it's going to be very structured. There's no reason to go in trying to put on a performance, act a certain way, be yourself. Try to have that conversation with the background or with the polygraph examiner. They just want to get to know you. They want to know if you forgot anything on your questionnaire, if there's anything that you're not being 100% truthful with, just be honest with them. If there's something that worries you during the pretest, going over the questions, have a discussion with the examiner. I've had many discussions with applicants who are like, I didn't know if I should put this on. I didn't know if it counted or not. We talk about it. And I'm like, hey, you brought it up. Let's just put it down here. That way you've disclosed it. You don't have to worry about it when it comes to testing. So
what's the connection between the PHS and the polygraph? Because I talk to candidates about this all the time. Should I put it down there? What's your take on that?
It should be no different. I mean, the personal history statement should match whatever's going on in the background or in the polygraph. So when I was doing backgrounds and not a polygraph examiner, and Ken, I don't know if you did this, but I would always take the results of the polygraph exam and anything that was disclosed in the polygraph exam, and I would match it up with my personal history statement to make sure that everything is right in line. Now, I found some that were telling the polygraph examiner a whole lot more than ever was disclosed to me as the background investigator. That's going to cause you problems. As a polygraph examiner, I will always ask if they bring something up, did you let your background investigator know this? If they tell me no, I let them know, hey, once we're done, you better get in touch with your background investigator and let them know, hey, while I was talking with the polygraph examiner, I remembered this. And made this disclosure so that they're aware of it. So it's important to do. I mean,
so walk me through this.
Okay.
Somebody fills out a PHS and they're not completely honest on the PHS.
Okay.
So then they go to poly and they're looking at the poly machine. I think you call it the polygraph machine. I'm not sure.
No, we call it the instrument.
The instrument, polygraph instrument. And they're looking at the instrument. And they go, I need to tell you something. And so they tell you something, and then they take the poly and they pass the poly. And then they have to write a statement about what they didn't disclose on the PHS. To me, that looks bad, right?
Yeah, it does, because they're told from the very beginning when they start the background that you've got to disclose everything. Now, could someone really forget something until they get into the polygraph? It's possible, right? I've had people that would say, though, oh, I forgot about this time where I was stopped by the police and they handcuffed me, blah, blah, blah. When that happened? 2 years ago. I don't know about you, but, and I'm up in the years, Ken, not like you. I'm not as young as you.
You're such a punk. Man.
But 2 years ago, I remember that. Someone asked me, hey, you've had any interaction with law enforcement? I'll remember being handcuffed even more than 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So
I forgot.
now at that point, I'm like, you got some explaining to do as to how you quote unquote forgot this. But there are some things that people forget. There are dates that they might get mixed up. You're talking with the polygraph examiner, and the polygraph examiner says, oh, you said that on this date you did this. And they're like, oh, you know what? I was thinking about that. And I think I got it wrong. And I think the date is actually, they move the date. Is that a big deal? Might not be,
Yeah.
but be honest. I mean, it's probably not a big deal. It's those things that just don't make sense to the background investigator when it's reported to them that, oh, you forgot that you got in a fight 2 years ago, you got arrested 2 years ago, whatever,
Yeah, I think that for me, to put it in perspective, there's the person who fills out their PHS and they don't put something on their PHS that they should have put on. And then they go to the poly and maybe they make a pre-poly admission. Maybe they don't, and then they get caught on the poly, and after the poly, they disclose it. So you lied on the poly,
Right.
then you lied on the PHS, then you lied on the poly, and then you had to fess up to it because you got caught.
Right.
I just don't think that's a good look.
It's not a good look at all. It's not a good look at all. That's why, again, we continue to say, just be 100% honest.
Yeah.
Just put it all out there.
And take Donovan's words to heart, because the thing is, though, you can put something on the poly that you're not sure about. I mean, on the PHS that you're not sure about, and you're never going to get in trouble for putting something on the PHS that the background investigator could care less about. But if you don't put something down that you think, oh man, and then you go to the poly and you mess up on the poly, you could have just put it down the PHS and gone to the poly and go, because isn't there a question that goes, have you been honest during the entire process, or have you been honest during blah, blah, blah? And that's the catch-all question. Why go in with sweating the poly when you could have just put it down the PHS and then had it off your chest?
Right. Yeah. Good advice, Ken.
Thank
Good
you.
advice. All right.
One more thing.
Got a comment?
Yeah, there's a couple of comments. The certain examiner told me that only liars forget stuff. You know exactly everything that happened in your life, and you shouldn't be forgetting everything.
It's that God complex. It's that God. I just can't stand that in polygraph examiners. But again, you have the God complex in just about every profession you deal in. So it's just one thing that we got to deal with, I guess.
And off topic for just a moment, besides staying in shape, what other things should we prepare for while waiting for the process to go through? I like to watch YouTubes and read the newspapers and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I just talked with a training officer at one of the academies here in Nevada, and he gave the best advice ever. He says, while you're going through the process, do what the background investigator is asking of you. Make sure you're doing all that. Your next part in that whole thing to prepare for getting hired and being ready for the academy is just get your butt in shape. Look at what the standards are for passing the academy physically, and make sure that you can exceed those so that when you get to the academy, that's not a stressor for you. Then you can worry about the studying and all the academics, because that's going to be something that you're not going to be able to do beforehand. It's going to be something that you just deal with in the academy. So just get yourself in better shape than you think you need to be in. If you think you're in good shape and ready to pass everything for the academy, get yourself in better shape so that you don't have any issues in the academy, and then worry about academics once you're in the academy.
We have a lot of different questions here. Is it a red flag if you have more than 2 registered?
No.
In North America.
Good Lord. I've had some that, man, they have an arsenal going on. I mean, you talk about people in states where they go hunting all the time as a pastime. Holy mackerel.
Yeah. So no, it's not a red flag. But yeah, so that's all the questions.
Okay. All right. So how do agencies typically handle results that require some sort of follow-up or clarification? This would be follow-up or clarification on if you have a failed polygraph exam or one that's called inconclusive. Something happened during the exam where the examiner can't tell whether the person is being truthful or being deceitful. Now we need some follow-up and we need some clarification. Agencies handle that all differently. Some agencies will tell the polygraph examiner, give me the results once they're done. Do not do any follow-up after. We'll take it from there. Some other agencies will say, hey, polygraph examiner, once you have the results, if you need to do follow-up questions right after, do the follow-up questions. So it's one of those things that it varies from agency to agency, but what they will do is either the background investigator or the polygraph examiner are going to review all the statements that you made on the personal history statement or the polygraph questionnaire, see what's going on. Compare the results. That's a big thing for background investigators. I think a lot of them miss that. Is once they get that polygraph exam done, that report back from the polygraph examiner, they look for what the result was. That's all they look for. Whether there was a significant reaction or no significant reaction, and they're done with that. What they need to be doing is grab that report and looking at what is actually being disclosed by the applicant. So that they can figure out the clarification on that. And they may need to do that clarification interview to find out what's going on, right? Background investigators do it all the time. It's just another step. Now they have polygraph results and they need some clarification as to what was going on. So
when I was doing full backgrounds, if somebody came in with a poly that was kind of, pre or post poly admissions, I would ask him every single time, tell me about this and tell me more. So for me, when you get done with the poly and the polygraph examiner goes, hey, yeah, cool, you can go now. It doesn't end there. You're going to go and you still have to talk to your background investigator about it.
Right. Yeah. It never ends there. It shouldn't end there. Like I said, it's a tool.
It's
a tool. It's a tool.
Heaven there.
All right. I don't know why I came up with this one. This is a loaded question, but we'll go over it. So how do you ensure fairness and consistency across all applicants?
Yeah. How do you do that?
Every agency has their standard that they have for the polygraph. I can't change that. What I can say is what is put out there. The American Polygraph Association sets standards for polygraph examiners. If you want to be part of their organization, you have to follow a certain set of standards as far as how your pre-test is handled, how your exam is handled, and how your post-exam interview is handled. You have to follow these steps. You have to make sure you keep a certain amount of training. So just making sure that I always make sure everything is the same for every polygraph. Doesn't matter who's coming in. It's a standard thing. I used to have almost a script in my hand. It was an outline when we go over it. I don't need it anymore, but to make sure everything was done in the same order at the same way so that everything stayed consistent. In my agency and a lot of agencies that I know of, the questions for the exam do not change. They are the same questions for every applicant, and it should be that way. Right. Same questions for every applicant. And making sure that everything is documented. If you go in for a polygraph exam now, I think 99% of polygraph examiners are video and audio recording that session.
Yep.
It's a CYA. It's nice if a background examiner wants to look at it, but it's more of a CYA for the polygraph examiner. So if anyone ever complains, they say the results aren't right, then someone can come back and do what's called quality control, and they can review the entire exam. They can review the results of your charts, and they can make sure that you didn't miss anything.
Got a long question here.
Oh,
I
boy.
can't answer it, but you can. Are there any transferable techniques you learned from patrol that you apply to the poly exam? For example, behaviors, language of the subject, conducting the polygraph examination. So are there any transferable techniques from patrol that you apply to the poly exam?
It's funny. I had someone talking about polygraph exams with me. I was on a different podcast, and this person was giving his knowledge, had no idea what polygraph was, and saying, well, yeah, you look at a person's behavior, their eye movements, there's speech. We don't look at any of that stuff.
Mhm.
We look at physiology. So transferable techniques that I've learned from patrol is all interview techniques. And that comes right down to a lot of officers don't even understand it. Building that rapport when you're out in patrol and you're trying to interview a victim, a witness, a suspect, you're building rapport. So it's building that rapport, learning how to talk to people, and learning how to interview people to get the information that we need for that exam. That's really the only transferable skill.
And when you're a police officer, you can talk to someone, and then based on their body language or however your experience tells you, if you've been doing it long enough, you can look at someone and go, "Ah, man, I'm not buying any of that." But as a polygraph examiner, the instrument does that.
The instrument measures physiology. We do not use any external sources to, I guess, quote unquote, grade the test. We use what is actually put out through the instrument from the sensors that we place on a person. So that is specifically breathing, heart rate, and how much sweat your sweat glands are producing.
Cool. Okay, that's all the questions for now.
All right. What does a typical appointment look like? If they're following the American Polygraph Association's guidelines, an appointment should look something like this. When you're greeted by your examiner, your ID should be checked to make sure that you're the right person coming in. When you get into the room, you'll need to go over a consent form. Every polygraph should start with a consent form because every polygraph is, and it's hard to explain this, every polygraph is voluntary in nature. No one can force you to take a polygraph. If you don't want to take the polygraph, you don't have to. Understanding that if you don't take the polygraph in some places, you're not moving on in the process, right?
Well, how
But
can you if it's part of the process? It's a test. It's a testing process.
Right. But a polygraph examiner cannot force you to take a polygraph.
Right.
So it's consensual. So you go over a consent form. After you're done with the consent form, polygraph examiner is going to ask you some questions about, your personal history. May ask some medical questions that don't go with all the rest of the results. They just need to make sure that you're both mentally and physically suitable for a polygraph exam the day that you're in there. After that, they should go through an entire explanation of what we look for in polygraph, what all the sensors do, and what we're looking for in polygraph when it comes down to it. What we're looking for on our charts. After you're done with that, then you get into your either personal history statement or polygraph exam or a questionnaire.
Got a question for you here along the lines of the last one. How long does it really take to review a complete poly after finishing a session?
Every examiner is different. Some examiners take a lot of time to do it. Some examiners will rely on external tools. For me, reviewing a polygraph exam to basically quote unquote score it to see if they've either passed or failed. It takes me about maybe 15 minutes tops.
Oh, I thought it would take longer than that.
No, it doesn't really take a lot. It doesn't take a lot of time. Some examiners, those that have been doing it for years and years and years, they can get it done a lot quicker. And with the age of computers and everything that's out there, there's tools that are being developed to help us, speed the process up. So some agencies will give you the results right at the end of the exam. Some agencies won't. I'm a firm believer. People come in for my exams. I give them the results right away.
Is AI coming into play in poly results?
AI is only coming into play right now with the polygraph report that goes to the background investigator.
Okay.
That's all that's coming in right now. There's nothing with the results yet.
Okay.
All right. So where was I in the process? Going over the personal history statement or the polygraph questionnaire. You'll go over that. The examiner will be asking you questions, making sure nothing was missed. After that, there should be some sort of a break built in there that lets you stretch your legs, use the restroom, all that kind of stuff. Come back into the room. The examiner should put all the components on you. And then you do a practice polygraph, and then you just jump into the polygraph testing. And that's it. Like I said, mine Mine generally take about 2 hours, 2.5 hours if it's a lateral officer, or if I need to do some additional testing because there's some questions on what's going on. So, but again, I can't speak for every polygraph examiner. I'm a very by the book kind of guy, so I try to follow what APA puts out there.
Spicy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
coming to law enforcement.
Oh yeah. Taser Axon is very, very embedded into this now with AI and the report writing off of the body cams now. They're working on that. They've released, I know there's a couple companies that have released some software that'll do the reports that still have to be reviewed by the officers. But yeah, AI is it's gonna change the world.
Let's see. Oh, we got a very nice comment. The White Hammer says, been watching you guys for a couple months. First time making it to the live. Thank you guys for what you do. Thank you for the comment. And absolutely, if you have any questions, you can ask them live while we're here. But I appreciate you making it to the live with us.
Yeah, it's always a good time. I think that's it, Ken.
That's it. Do you have no more questions? No more?
I don't.
Stuff?
I mean, what does everyone have for me?
Does anybody have any more questions for Donovan? The poly, we haven't exhausted a lot of the questions about the poly. So I have a question for you, and we've talked about this a ton of times, Donovan.
Mm-hmm.
What's with you sit down, a candidate sits down for the poly.
Yep.
And the guy goes, yeah, so you tested bad on drugs. and you go, man, I didn't do any drugs. Okay, we're gonna give you another poly. They give another poly and they go, yeah, so you did outstanding on drugs. You cleared that. But you tested on theft of employer. And this goes on, and it's either, what's the deal with the different results in the same sitting?
I can't even answer that one. I have never come across that where the results continue to change.
I used to get those. You've never got reports like that?
No.
No. It might have been just the LAPD poly that did that.
Maybe not just an LAPD poly. I think there's might be others out there, but yeah, I've never run into that, so I can't even explain that. When I do a polygraph, if there's a question that's failed and we have a discussion, I mean, and if I have to retest, something else doesn't just pop up all of a sudden.
Oh, you sent me something on Reddit that I forgot to put up. But what about if
Stop asking these questions on Reddit, people?
What if you go on Reddit and somebody goes, "Oh man, I studied for the poly." What's your reaction to that?
Oh yeah. So there's that question. A lot of polygraphs are going to ask is, have you done any research on polygraph? I ask that. Have you done any research? And I always explain as there's two schools here. There's the one that, hey, they just honestly want to go out there. They want to make sure they're the best prepared for the polygraph. They want to find out, about sleep, medications, eating, all that kind of stuff. That's what they're looking at. And they just want to understand. Then there's the other ones that are out there who are trying to figure out the countermeasures, right? How you can beat the polygraph.
Right.
Those are the ones I'm always concerned about. So, I mean, for me, if someone goes out and does research, I don't care. I just give them the warning about countermeasures. If I see it, I'm going to give you a warning. If I see it a second time, we're done. You're cheating. You failed. And then everyone's going to know that you cheated.
And I, on the other hand, I tell people, you can't study for the poly. You can't study. It'll mess you up more. Don't go to Reddit. Don't go to any websites that hate polys because it's just going to mess you up.
What's the first response when someone posts something on Polygraph? What's the very first response someone says?
I don't remember.
First response is they say it's junk science.
Oh,
second response is they say, well, it's not admissible in court.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, number one, there's been a lot of research done since the very early days of polygraph. So it's not junk science. There is a lot of backing behind it. Second thing is the whole Fry test was developed because of polygraph. The case actually the Fry case was actually about the polygraph to determine if it was scientifically admissible. However, there are certain times that it can be admissible in court. So the argument, it's not admissible in court, it can be admissible in court.
Is there such a thing as being too honest on the poly or just too honest in general? How can you be the poly's yes or no? How do you can't be too honest on the poly. It's either yes or no.
Right. We're just, I mean, as long as you are being 100% truthful on the questions that we're asking, that's what we worry about.
Yeah. Does passing the poly give candidates credibility by the time they get to the BI?
Let's
I'll
talk
let you
about
answer
this.
that.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Because again, I said this earlier. Some agencies do the polygraph at the beginning, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. And some agencies do it towards the end, which makes all the sense in the world. At the beginning, is it gonna, if you pass the polygraph, does it give you more credibility by the time it gets to the BI? Maybe a little bit, but a good background investigator should be a little apprehensive about that yet. I mean, we always have to be on guard, right? We don't, I tell background investigators, don't become friends with the applicant, because then you fall into that, oh man, I got to figure out, oh, they lied to me here. Is it really that bad? You get involved in that and you don't want to. So you can't fall in love with the candidate. But I mean, I guess just answering that, it's not going to give you extra credibility because you passed the polygraph. It just tells the background examiner you're just doing a regular background. If you fail moving into the background on a question, to me, that should be, if you're at an agency who does it right, it's not disqualification. It tells the BI that, hey, we need to look harder into that area and figure out what's going on.
And for me, the poly doesn't give any credibility. It's just another test, and you either fail it or you pass it. So I get the thing. It says to pass the poly, put that in the folder, and then I move on. But what's going to get my attention is if you make pre-test admissions or post-test admissions, or you have a problem on the poly, then you're going to get my attention. Otherwise, it's just another test, pass, fail.
Right.
So good.
Lauren's got another one.
Lauren's on fire with these questions.
Right.
If there are inconsistencies, for example, or bad information provided regarding the candidate from a third party, is that related to the credibility question, or if there are inconsistencies or bad information provided, that generally wouldn't be part of the poly, because they're going to ask you a specific set of questions, not necessarily related to the poly. I mean, yeah, your PHS isn't going to be, the questions aren't going to be on the poly specific.
No.
Yeah. Here we got some, once again, thank you for the videos and all the advice, guys. See you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One of our faithful fans there.
Yep. Kelly Squid's got clarification there.
I meant in general background. So he's talking about, is there anything about being too honest?
Too honest in general backgrounds?
I just talked to someone about this yesterday.
There is.
You asked the right guys that question. We got opinions about that.
Yeah, there's a little too much honesty that sometimes goes on.
I talked to someone yesterday, and I said, man, you talk too much. Mm-hmm. You talk too much. Because with regard to this question, you can give too much information, and then because you didn't just answer the question, like Joe Friday said in Dragnet, just the facts. Right. I ask a question, and if you go off on a tangent, or you on your PHS, you fill out a paragraph for every frickin' thing, and you bring up things that make me ask more questions that are unnecessary. There are also things that you should not disclose that are not on the PHS.
If you're not asked.
And I think that many people might be able to read between the lines on that one. Mm-hmm. But if it's not on the PHS, your background investigator probably doesn't want to know about it.
Yeah. And just avoid the rambling, because that's where you get yourself in trouble. Answer the question and shut up.
Well, thank you. I'm glad we were able to answer that. So you can be too honest on the application part.
Yeah.
So
Well, this was good, Ken. I like this. This
good.
was fun.
This is a good one. If you need any information from Donovan, let me throw this up here. What did I do with it? Oh, it's at the very top. Prepforduty.com. Donovan has all your information about the poly. If you have any questions about him, I don't know what all questions if you can answer all the questions, but if you want to get
I will not tell you how to beat the polygraph. I will not tell you how to prepare for the polygraph. I will answer very generally. I want to get that out there. Do you hear that, AAPP?
Do people ask you how to beat the poly?
I've had someone call me and say, "Hey, I don't want to be 100% truthful on this because I think I'll get disqualified. How can I pass the polygraph?"
Oh my gosh.
I said, "Well, if you want to pass the polygraph, you got to be 100% truthful."
I've
If you
had
ask me how to pass the polygraph, I'll tell you, be 100% truthful.
I've had people ask me, should I, what do you think? Should I put this on the PHS? I'm like, so you're asking me if you should lie? Yeah, I'm not the guy. I'm not that guy to ask.
Right.
Prepforduty.com. Also, if you want to grab Donovan's books on the interview, there's a book and an ebook, and then the workbook that goes hand in hand with it. You can get both of those as well. Also, police background investigations, Inside the Mind of a Background Investigator, written by Ken Roybal. That would be me.
Why don't you it should be Inside the Mind of Ken.
Inside Ken's mind.
I mean, why we just take out the background investigator, Inside the Mind of Ken. The sales skyrocket.
Just because of my mind. If you want a piece of my mind, buy the book. Other than that, we appreciate you guys, and we'll be back next week. We'll try and find out what happened to Rob. He wasn't able to make it this time. But at any rate, Donovan, once again, man, you brought the goods. Got the answers. If you have any other questions, and after we sign off and you get to watch the video later and you have questions for Donovan, throw them in there. Or you can also send them to Donovan's website. He has a contact form there, and you can ask him questions from this video and like that. So anything else, Donovan?
No, this was just a blast. It's always a blast when I get to hang out with you, Ken.
Yay. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll be back next week, guys.
All right, see ya.